Hello and welcome. This is Kristen from the Online Selling Show, and today is December 31st of 2024. I have put together a list of stuff that I wanted to discuss, that I wanted to recap my year for. As I mentioned, I started a new eBay store on June 15th, 2024. And I've been into this a little over 6 months now. I have been selling in a wholesale business model for 22 years. I've been selling on eBay that whole length of time, but I have been on the Amazon platform for, I don't even know how many years now, 20 probably. And it has been our family's sole source of income. And that business had been rolling along so much that I really did have to kind of reset some of my thinking in this past year to get this new eBay store off the ground, on its way, because I want a 6-figure income. I want 6 figures worth of income coming into my checking account after all things were paid. And how am I going to do it? That's what this channel's for. But I thought it'd be remiss if I didn't go back and try to recap now. Some of these things are observations. Some of them I may highlight some of the things that I know are working for me and maybe would be a benefit for yourself as well. So in no particular order is my list here. And let's start with the first thing being the Global International Shipping Program. This is the one where I make the sale and I don't ship to the end buyer. I ship it to a location that is eBay's. Usually for me, I say it's the Midwest. It's Indiana, Illinois. I don't know if you'd really consider that the Midwest, but all the shipments go there. Once in a blue moon, I may send something to like New York or something, but I've been sending it to them and then they will ship it on to the end buyer. The benefits for that was, one, I don't handle any returns. I have nothing to do with if there's breakage or the shipment's late or doesn't arrive. All of that thing is handled by eBay, and I'm loving that program. I really am. I did do a little bit of a critique on that in one of my midweek check-ins, and that is that it's a little clunky. I do believe eBay could benefit by making some things a little bit more streamlined, in the sense that like the buyer's options to contact me kind of is filtered, maybe, so that if it's like a complaint about one of those issues that they're handling, that it doesn't come to me. And the reason being is that when I was getting those buyers contacting me, they looked at it like I was cold, I didn't care, and having to kind of do the finessing to say, like, I understand, I know this is my product that I'm selling to you. Some of them didn't even want to take those extra steps. They looked at it like I was trying to pass the buck. But realistically, that is the coverage that was provided. And one of the other drawbacks was I had one buyer that bought 3 items from me. She wanted them replaced. That is not an option that you can handle in the global shipping. It's just not an option that you can do unless you're willing to just take the whole burden on. But even I don't have their address. I'm not shipping to them. There's no way to then facilitate a new shipment to this fulfillment center or to this eBay global shipping location. It's not there. And the buyers don't understand that. Maybe some of it's a language barrier. I can't say what it's all going to be. And they were leaving. They bought 3 things. They took the course of over a week to leave individually negative feedback, which is covered. But the way eBay, you have to like open a case with them. And this was being done on my wholesale account, which I have had for so long. And I believe I have a higher level of reps that come through there. They call it the concierge or something. And I do find that stuff is not available to me on this new account, even though that account has been out there for quite some time, but I have not been selling on it. It doesn't have that same level of volume of sales behind it to warrant, I guess, eBay even giving me that. So I've kind of had to rethink what it means in the benefits that I've been blessed with in the wholesale business, that people starting out aren't getting right off the bat. And they're, going to be able to see, if I were to come in here and start talking about things in the wholesale business, if I came out and did not show this transparency, you may be a little confused. So I will say that some of the things I experienced with this global shipping was in that wholesale business, and I do believe that I probably would have a little bit more of a hard time getting to the right reps and things like that on eBay to get that same level of assistance with it. But whatever, I can tell you that eBay did, on every circumstances that came up, cover what they said they would in the global shipping. So you may have to just push forward a little bit harder to get to the right people at eBay, but they did for me in that sense for the global shipping. Cover that. The other thing I was a little surprised for was, and they kind of all go hand in hand. When I started this, I talked about I did not want to have a death pile, that whatever I got in that week, I would list in that week before I went back out to go get more. And I was not disciplined with that at all. I should have foreseen that. My husband did. In the very early stages of it, you know, when you're going out and you're buying at yard sales, not necessarily maybe some of the estate sales, but when you start going, sometimes you throw in those little tchotchke things because there's only 10 cents or 25 cents, or the sellers are saying to you like, oh, here, just take this extra. And it may not have been exactly what you were picking up to begin with. Those little things when you get home probably are ones that you're just kind of putting aside because you're not really that excited about them, or you look at it as you'd rather list the big ticket item over this $10 item. And because I had that rule in place, and I did do it at first, I was forcing myself to list those tchotchke kind of items to come to mind. Or I had a brooch pin that was like a 4-leaf clover, and I had another thing that was a miniature pewter Mayflower ship. And both of those I remember kind of not being very excited about listing. Both of them I picked up because they were almost free. And I am going to tell you that both of them items sold. I didn't get a huge ticket price on it, but you know what? I made as much money for that as I probably made in some of the stuff I had to take offers on to move out. Things like clothing that I just, you know, were a dime a dozen, and people just only wanted to offer so much for it. Or maybe I miscalculated some of the things I bought that were like chipped and I had to take a reduced price. So I tell you that if you have those kind of things, don't just keep passing them over because you're just not excited about it or you don't think they're going to be a big dollar value. List everything. I was, like I said, very surprised on several of them. I know one of the things for me in the new year, I do need to be very disciplined in what I'm picking up, because some of the things that I did buy, in retrospect, I should have never probably bought, because some of those items were so big. I did sell the nativity set that I bought at the 4-H fair type of thing, and it was a good sale. I did get the $125 I asked for, which was like, I think I paid $25, so that's a great sale, but it was much bigger, and what it took up for space and trying to ship it out. In retrospect, I got some really, really good return on the shiny brights that I picked up from the one's moving sale. But working for me now, because I told you I'm a queen, I don't want to ship. I have my husband who does all the shipping for us, and he wasn't really happy to have to individually wrap all of them. And shiny brights, the boxes are just as important as the ornaments. So even though the boxes were in some shambles, you still shipped it. And I'm not saying I'm going to pass that up, but I need to be a little bit more discerning in what I am picking up. Some items I picked up were very fragile. Some things I needed to pay closer attention to because they were chipped or repaired, and I wasn't really in the heat of the moment just picking them up. So I think I need to stop myself and put into some checklists of things, maybe at the estate sale before I check out. I'm going back over things. I know one particular item was this Noel ceramic piece that they had in a box, and I must have just lifted one of the pieces out and thought, okay, they're all going to be this good. It was not. That was a little bit of a surprise for me. I guess I thought I was going to be much more disciplined, and I guess I thought I didn't have to be as diligent in my purchasing as I had to be, and we're all human. I'm not saying that these people were trying to be negligent and not pointing things out, or like they're dealing with volume too, and they just may not have noticed that there was something there for chipped or damage to point out, be it what it may. The other thing is, the death pile, that was so quick and how fast it grew. I was getting very much in the end of the season trying to make sure I was going to have stuff that was going to carry me through those winter months when we don't have the sales, and that's okay. But I need to realistically view things in the sense of, okay, if I'm listing 3 items a day, that means 21 items or lots of things being listed. I need to look at it in numbers and manage that death pile a little bit differently. If I'm going to put things aside, then I need to know where and what month, what week they're going in for listing, and not just keep piling and piling and piling up. So I think I need to be not just disciplined in getting the stuff listed, but if I'm going to allow myself to do those things, have exactly where and when they're going to be addressed. Some of the other things were, I looked at getting started and I went outside of my niche. The education needs to be there. If I'm going to do those things, I need to also make sure that I'm being dedicated to the education of bringing those items in. I kind of felt that I was going into the clothing because it was going to be quick, easy. It was going to be, it's not breakable. You know how to pack it. Storing it's going to be easy. I had a lot of reasons for it. And I started to become very educated on that. And then when I started to get into things like the estate sales, wanting to go to the yard sales, my natural passion took over. I don't know that one was wrong or right, but if I'm going to stay committed to the passion of things, I need to educate myself more there, because there's definitely a lot more things I'm seeing now that I thought were going to be more holy grail pieces. Some of this vintage Christmas that I thought was going to be like almost never showing up, I'm surprised how much it really did show up. And I think we all start off with this mindset of it's scarcity, but realistically, I've come to realize my death pile is a good example of it, that we can find goods all day long, everywhere as we go, and I need to become very knowledgeable about whichever item I want to be listing in. If I want to do the Christmas, that's fine, but I really need to become educated, be a little bit more discerning, not just making sure it's not chipped or that kind of stuff, but making sure I'm buying the best for the dollars that I am spending. Meaning that it's going to be a $50 purchase for my $5 instead of $20 purchase for my $5. So that I'm not passing over item because I'm so focused on the 20. I need to be educated in that and realize that those things that we looked at as being like the unicorn, like you're never going to see it out there, like looking for the needle in a haystack, whatever term you want to put, there really is a lot there. You come at it thinking that things are so scarce and negative. There was quite a few items that I purchased I was very tempted to keep because I've seen them in these Facebook groups. They appear to be so infrequently coming through the group that I thought, oh my God. And I did get a very good profit, don't get me wrong, but maybe I only got that one thing one time. But it's amazing how many of those exciting, oh my Lord, pieces can keep coming every week. So I may not get one Holy Grail piece repetitively over every season, but there's going to be various different exciting pieces showing up, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make. By educating, I'll be able to widen my net, but I can also understand that I'm going to find big ticket items all the time. I don't have to keep trying to force the sale. That is another. The other thing coming into talking about like the death pile is also the vast amount of my stuff, even though it's listed, needs to get moved. My husband has said before he doesn't want this back to being this like taking over the basement, and I agree with him. And I've said it multiple times that I want things to be at a maximum taking 3 months to sell in my store, unless it's an off-season good like I bought Christmas in March. I've said this before. And I need to really start implementing the plan as to how I'm going to do that. It was easy for me this first cycle of this 6 months because I mentioned in one episode how I really didn't start the estate sales until maybe the beginning or middle of August, and I was into it for maybe 3 months. Then I had Christmas coming, and I've been able to basically glide these last 2 months on what was already listed. So it was very easy for me to excuse the fact that some of this stuff has been sitting around. Now I'm coming into the new year. I need to have a plan. I need to have it structured. I need to have it where it's repetitive and coming commonplace. Once something hits the 6-week mark, it gets into a rotation and I'm running regular sales maybe, and starting to tier discounting on how long it's been with me so that I can get that old stuff sold. And I also need to have like the death date, truthfully, the death date. I need to have a date when it reaches to this level, it's been with me this long, I'm not going to get it sold. Maybe if I hold on to it for 4 years, but I'm not in the market of owning things. I want to repetitively move things along. It needs to come or it needs to go. If there is a reason I need to have this thought out in rules and disciplined, and I can't keep falling in love with product per se. There's product out there that, like, for instance, I know I have that one $600 blueprint type of thing, and I know if I lower that price to enough, it's going to get sold at some point. So even though I'm in love with that item, it's going to get sold. But if I'm in love with something that was $30 and I've marked it down to $10 and it's still not selling, I have to accept that maybe I am the only one that loves this product. I don't know. So I need to remove the emotion out of it and get into a place of when it's time for it to just be taken out of the store, out of my life, donated, and recoup that space back. I can't always get 100% sell-through on everything. It's just the reality of being in business, and I've got to know when to call it quits. So that is another thing. So that I'm ongoing with goodwill donations, sales. One of the other things is educating myself on an ongoing basis. One of the things that has really surprised me, as I've said, is the things that has been very commonplace for me, routine in the wholesale business, that is not reality of what everybody sees in their eBay store or Amazon store either. And I've been spoiled either through having really good players in my life, or maybe because, like I said, like my eBay account is so old. I can tell when I talk to reps and things like that, they are just surprised. Like that is like something that for them, when they say it, I can tell they're not talking to people on that kind of regular level. And I've been a volume seller in all of those years. It's not like I kind of skated along for a while and I just took off now. So I have a lot of benefits, I understand, in that wholesale side that I've really come to take as just thinking that's just the way it is, and it's not. Some of the other things that I've had to retrain myself maybe is like the bookkeeping side of it and things, because I have bookkeepers, I have a CPA. I don't always readily have to do any of this kind of stuff. My inventory management is in there, handling other aspects of it, and I'm having to basically recreate those things. Flipwise has been a godsend in this business for me, for bookkeeping, as well as just the data and stuff that they give you. And I'm having to relearn this from the ground in the basics of things that just has become routine, is the only way I can think to say it, in my other business. And I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, it's just what has to be done. Some of the things I just did a video on was talking about the CPA and why I find him to be an essential in my life, as well as the bookkeeper. And some of the things are just commonplace things, like making sure I have money set aside for income taxes. We all want to look at it that I sold that nativity for 125, I paid 25, I made 100. No, I did not have a right to take $100 and just go spend it, because there's bills that come attached to that, income tax that comes to that, and I need to plan for those things. And some of that is education to understand what is needed. For some of us, we may have to make estimated taxes payments during the quarters. These are things that if you don't have the CPA to guide you through this, you may wind up getting to a point where you're like, oh, I would not like for you to get to that circumstance. That leads me into a discussion too, is you also have to start getting into this thinking of cash flow. Cash flow is not the same as dealing with your income out of things. Cash flow is referring to if you've been paying for things on your credit card because it was, I don't know, convenient, or you were getting points and stuff. You have to remember when those bills are coming due, when things like, I have Flipwise, I have a bill that comes in for that subscription. I have to manage and pay for that. And those things should be managed and paid for no differently than like your household budget when your own paycheck may be coming in. So those are things for me. I am having the luxury right now that is income that's just kind of sitting there, and it is one that used when I've needed it. One of the benefits that I've liked about printing my postage out of eBay is that basically the shipping is already being taken care of. But if you're having to buy packaging supplies, or like I said, these subscription plans and stuff, there could still be a bill that is coming in. Maybe for some of us, we have banking bills because of maybe the bank charges you to have the account for you to use. The gas to get to certain, some people are talking about going hours to get to an estate sale. That all requires different, maybe tolls and meal planning for going there. These are all things that need to be taken in consideration with cash flow. eBay is a little bit different because they will pay you as you're shipping the goods. Amazon, I've opted, and I've left it that way, to take a disbursement every 2 weeks when they force me to take it. I used to be able, I still can go in and take a daily disbursement if I want, and I was kind of doing that for a while based on cash flow, and I've had to reacquaint myself with being in a 2-week cycle, and that's what it's been for me for years now. And so I do have eBay coming in regularly, and I have Amazon showing me up with a disbursement every 2 weeks. And I've learned how to train my bookkeeping and my spending based on that. And eBay is going to throw you off a little bit if you think that you start thinking of things on a daily, like, oh, this payment will be here tomorrow. Oh, this payment will be here tomorrow. Really, a disciplined business owner is going to think of it in a week, 2 weeks, monthly basis. It's better to plan your bookkeeping that way so that you can start thinking about things, how to plan your growth, how to plan expansion if you're going to expand growth in the sense of what you want to carry for inventory, expansion based in like physical, tangible things. Maybe you want to add an employee, you want to add on to your building, that type of thing. Networking. Really, I think I was a little bit surprised coming into it with what I can use for networking, because I thought when I first got into this that, yard sales, I wasn't really going to get to networking. I thought maybe Facebook groups would be the networking, that I would be able to get some other people telling me where the sales were going, and that would be my networking. And that's probably about the extent of networking that I can do for yard selling. I thought for estate sales came in kind of blindsiding me. I wasn't really expecting to do much for estate sales. I was not expecting to loving them the way that I do because of my history was in the past. But I thought thrift stores were going to be a little bit more prevalent for me, and they're really not. I thought thrift stores were going to be like me having to get to know the staff and them kind of guiding me or calling me if some certain stuff showed up. And there really wasn't an opportunity too much for me to interact, at least with the thrift stores I started to go with, because they were either just ringing people up or they were in the back. There was not very many on the floor, and I just did not pursue that for very long, so maybe there was more opportunity there. But the networking with the estate sale people is what I'm thinking is going to be a big benefit in 25 for me. I do have a few ideas of things I want to do to even preempt the estate sales, and I'll report to those as they develop along. I thought I would start in 25, maybe going to some of the bins around me, but truthfully, I think before I do that, I may want to start doing some of the flea marketing around me, and my expectation is that I would start making some networking contacts there. We shall see, but I did not foresee much networking being available, and it is surprising. It has surprised me in this past year for that. So I think that may be everything other than me wanting to end. Now, before that, I should also say what was surprising to me is how much I like doing this YouTube channel. I've tried doing social media with my wholesale business before, and I'll be honest, I just wasn't getting into it. I just did not. I have beautiful products. I know I've seen competitors just take off with their social media. And my husband has said to me for years, like, you should be out there marketing yourself, taking advantage of the knowledge that you have. You should be selling the knowledge you have. And it just never felt right. This is different for me. I don't know why. I am enjoying. My channel is still very, very small. I have 44. I'm blessed to have 44 people that have subscribed to me at this point in time. And I honestly am surprised. I thank everybody for subscribing that has, because I never really thought I had that much more knowledge than anybody else. And I just didn't feel that I had a different message to give to anybody else, truthfully. Wow. The YouTube channel has really made me start exploring other depths to myself. I just didn't really, I don't know if I'm even saying this correctly. I'm blessed. Let me start over again with, before I finish the last topic, I'm really blessed in how many people subscribed to me this year so far. I'm up to 44 subscribers, and I've always just thought I wasn't any better. I still don't feel any better. I'm any different. I never felt that the message that I could convey was any different from anybody else's, that anybody would really want to tune in or even pay attention to what I had to say. And I've tried using the social media and things for the wholesale business through the years, and it just never felt right for me. It just never felt that I had a message that was going to be any more unique or wanting to be heard. And by doing this YouTube channel, I'm surprised at the depths of what I'm willing to explore in myself to put out there. I had to overcome the fact that, I look at it that I'm a big girl, and who wants to pay attention? I'm not this pretty bombshell blonde that somebody wants to tune in for. And I'm having to get over myself a lot and just do it. And I'm kind of thankful I did. And that is one thing I am thankful and grateful for and feeling blessed in this new year, is that I've had 44 people that wanted to subscribe to hear the message. I'm planning in 25 to just continue doing this and hoping that there will be many more people that will want to join in there. So that was a surprise for me, that YouTube as exciting for me that I want to go and I want to do these things now. And then the last thing, I have not looked at the recap of numbers for this year. I will put that after this one, but I don't think it's out of the realm that I can't start pulling in easily $2,000 to $3,000 of income in a month by the end of this coming year. I don't think that's going to be out of the realm. I will have to look at how I'm going to do that with a store that will be closed for the last 6 weeks at a minimum of the year. So these are things I needed to be planning now, so that when the implementing goes through every week and every month, that I'm not getting to the end of what it is and be surprised. I'm going to say bye for now. I hope that you got something out of this whole recap. Please leave any comments down below. What was your big goal? Was there one that you made for yourself this year? Or are you just thinking about getting started? Because I'm going to tell you, you need to start now. Don't wait and get yourself 3-6 months down the road and then have the regrets. I've had this conversation with many people through my lifetime, is that we wish our life away by saying, like, I can't wait till it's 5 o'clock and I can get home. If you're sitting at a job and you're saying that to yourself, you are wishing your life away. There is something productive, and it may just be something that can go on in your head that you can start doing today that will start putting you in a better place, so that when we have this conversation again in a year, we're not still sitting here with the same conversation going on. I will promise you this, if you follow along with this journey for me, you will not be hearing me have these same conversations about things that I'm facing as a hurdle. Meaning, like right now, here's one. My hurdle this end of this season is I had to go today and take a bunch of packages to a pack-and-mail place because FedEx pickup is not something that I'm having in a routine right now. I guarantee you by the end of probably next week, I will already start with a resolution on how that will be. I've already evolved that process. I think I'm on plan D or E right now as to where and how I'm using FedEx. But by this time next year, I'm not going to have these same problems or conversations about things like that. Those are minor hurdles to me. Yes, I'm having a death pile. I may still have some death pile issues by next year, but I will be trying to evolve and come through that process of how I'm handling it, or what my mentality of it is to get through. And that's what this channel is here for, is helping you get through the mental picture of what is going to be the solutions. And if you're wishing your life away, I just tell you, please, for the benefit of yourself and all of those around you, stop wishing your life away. Use, even if it's the 10 minutes at the end of the day that you're watching that clock click down to when you can leave this dead-end job or whatever it may be, class that you're in. Just use that time in coming through what is the solutions. Start working constructively. Check out who I'm going to be doing in some shorts about what is people that were in my life as role models or authors and helped me get through getting to that point of leaving that 6-figure job. For many, that job was the holy grail. But for me as an entrepreneur, it just didn't feel right. It was not. It was, we all have those ill-fitting clothes that when we put on, it just doesn't feel right. That's what the job was for me. I guarantee you when we have a conversation again in a year, I am going to be in a much different place with some different conversation, but similar conversation. That's just how business is. I thank you for tuning in. I would appreciate a thumbs up if you got anything good out of this. And I would really, really appreciate you hitting the subscribe button if you have not subscribed before. It would help me grow the channel, but it's going to put my future videos in your feed. And I'm going to say bye for now.